Hello, Councilmember Rob, Councilmember Clark. Can y'all hear me? Very good.
Yeah.
Thumbs up. Mr. Quinn, can you hear me? Mr. Alabon? Everybody's good. Mr. Chambers? Miss Lamb?
Yes, sir. I can hear you. I'm here.
Yes, sir. I can hear you too.
Very good. Mr. Harvey?
I can hear you, sir.
Excellent. All right, Council, you ready? Are we on? We're on record. Good evening, Haslet, Texas. It is July 17, 2022, 7 p.m., and I call to order the City of Haslet Council meeting. There is a quorum present in the chambers. It's myself, Mayor Gary Halsey, Mayor Pro Tem Morrow, Councilmember Ricketts, and Councilmember Nahira. Online, we have Councilmember Robb and Councilmember Clark. If you would bow your heads with me, we'll say an invocation followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you, Father in heaven, for all your abundant gifts that you've given us. We thank you so much for your blessings and your continual guiding. We ask that you continue in this mode of guiding Haslet and its leaders and its citizens. In Jesus' name, amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Item 4 is citizen participation and comments. Is anyone in the audience who would like to make any comments to the council? Is anyone online? Mr. Tucker. All right, very good. I will go to item 5. Items of community interest. We have 5A, a Haslet volunteer to fire department, note of gratitude and donation. Back before Christmas, once in a while, I'll get a note, but right before Christmas, a subdivision in our ETJ and Chief Mace, what's the name of that subdivision? Do you recall? Rancho Estates had sent a letter addressed to the mayor and council just complimenting the Haslet Fire Department in their response to any emergencies that take place in their subdivision, as well as the community side of it and the bringing a little smile to the children in the way of Halloween visits with their fire truck, as well as Christmas, as they came through and brought Santa Claus with them. They very much appreciated that, and it was just a glowing note. And also they included, these were 2 individuals that were in that subdivision, but they included a check as a donation to the support group for the Haslet Fire Department. And again, so Rancho Estates, thank you very much, and we're proud of our fire department as well. Haslet Public Library Journal Award is Thompson on online? Hello, Barbara. Okay. Our library recently won an award, and it is a national library. Not only did they win an award, there were over 5,000 applicants nationwide in this. It's a grant, but there's over 5,000 applicants this last year. I believe it's 262 were chosen to receive that grant. Haslet Public Library was first place in their category. And it was a significant award. I believe around $200,000 or more. So I just want to send a note of gratitude to Barbara Thompson and all her staff. They do such an excellent job at the Haslet Public Library. Now, I don't know if everybody knows, Haslet Public Library has over 13,000 active card holders. 13,000. So, thank you, Barbara. Thank you, staff. Our next item will be of very particular interest to all of us, and this is the City of Haslet new ISO rating. This is a national rating, and I'm not going to steal any thunder because we have Chief Mays and Mr. Is it Schumacher? What's his rank? Battalion Chief Schumacher will give us a overview of this and what was involved and how it affects each and every one of us here in Haslet, Texas. Chief, take it away.
All right. Well, good evening, Mayor and Council. It's always fun when I come to you not asking for money and getting to share good news on money you have spent. Finally, we have a reward for the business and property owners in Haslet. Each fire department is given a public protection class rating on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being the best, 10 being the worst. The ISO, which is the Insurance Services Office, is the one that comes out to the department, does an inspection, very, very thorough, detailed, very takes a lot of time to get that done. So as we took that task on, it's not by choice. Chief Schumacher, who is one of our volunteers, is over our planning, and when he was in Delaware, used to work for the ISO. So what better person to understand their language and lingo and the algebra that goes into the equation than him. So I'm going to let him speak regarding kind of what the scoring summary was, where we did good, where we can improve, just to fully understand it. But just on the highest level, again, we improved from a 5 down to a 3. I would tell you that I reached out to a friend that lives in North Glen and talked to his insurance agent directly, and a $700,000 home, it decreased their insurance premiums 3%, which is $76 a month. It may not sound like a lot, but if you go back and do backwards math, when we talk about raising 1 cent of sales tax, all of a sudden it starts actually changing that scale. So it may sound like a small number, but really it's a big impact. A lot of factors went into it. We are in the next water bill. There will be a flyer that goes out. That was in your packet. One side will just be the informational piece. The back side is the true certification letter that you as a business owner or a resident could take to your insurance company, and hopefully you will receive some benefit. So without any further ado, I'm going to let Chief Schumacher talk about how we got there.
Thank you, Chief Mason. It's a pleasure to be up here on this tremendous occasion. It's not too often, I can say this working for ISO, it's not too often that a lowering of scores actually happened. In most places I've been impacted with have actually raised scores. So we're in a very good position, as Chief Mason mentioned. So the ISO breaks their evaluation down to 3 different sections. I'd like to review those sections briefly with you and also go into what steps we've taken on the backside of that evaluation, which actually occurred in the latter part of December, and where we're going in the future. So the first part they look at is receipt and handling of fire alarms. So a community is graded on how they receive a 911 call. So if you call 911, how quickly they process it and how quickly they can get the fire department rolling to it. So they look at all of the calls, but Insurance Services Office really focuses on specifically what are fire calls, because again, we're evaluating fire service and how they respond to structural fires, and that's how it affects your insurance. So overall, from last year, or from 2020 in the 2012 report, we stayed relatively flat. So we gained a 13th of a point with the Tarrant County Fire Alarm Association, who is our dispatch center for most of North Tarrant County. The second area is water supply. So communities evaluate on the water supply, because if you have a fire and you can't put it out, kind of what good's the fire department? So they look at your distribution, your pumps, your equipment, your hydrant locations. How effective are they to your bigger buildings? And then the last that they look at is what's called a needed fire flow. And that's just a simple fire department calculation that says, if I have a building of this size, how much water do I actually need to effectively extinguish that fire without it spreading to an adjacent structure? In that area, again, we stayed relatively flat. We lost a little bit, but overall, we were in 2012, 32.58%, or 0.58 out of 40, and now we're 32.36. So again, relatively flat, not too much of a change. The last area is fire department, which obviously has a considerable interest in my heart and the hearts of many of the fire department. In this area, we went from, in 2012, a 32.58 out of 40 to 23.31 out of 50 to a 30.91 out of 50. So 7.6 point improvement, which is a significant improvement, and actually helped us to elevate up to a 3. Areas of significant improvements that we made, while we made improvements everywhere, but the areas of significant improvement were a 16% increase in how we were scored on our apparatus, equipment, and capabilities, a 6% increase in how we deploy our resources, a 25% increase in the number of personnel that are actually responding to a fire, and then lastly, a 16% increase in how we're training our company. So ladies and gentlemen, if you do the math, comes up to roughly around 70.32 out of 100, which elevates us up again to that ISO Class 3. And again, I applaud everybody for the efforts of supporting the fire department and helping us get there, because we couldn't have gotten there without you. As soon as we got done the evaluation with the surveyor, Chief Mays already started tasking us with what can we do better? How can we get further? And how can we be the best that the community can offer? So I took a couple of those notes of some areas of significant importance, and I wanted to bring them to you. In receiving and handling fire alarms, again, how we dispatch our calls. In April 2022, there's already a planned merger between the Haslet Fire Department and the City of Fort Worth for their dispatching purposes. The City of Fort Worth has an ISO Class 1, which is the highest level ISO can offer, saying that they are the most prepared that a fire department can be to mitigate any hazard in the community. As we switch over to that, we will gain those points from that dispatch center, because they'll be dispatching all of our calls directly. The next area is water supply. We did very well overall in all aspects of the water supply, but we can make some little bit improvements in areas of testing our hydrants and maintaining them and make sure we have the documentation. The documentation, no matter how well we test, is absolutely critical to be able to show the surveyor that year over year we're doing our job and making sure that the fire flow that we're projecting can actually come out of the hydrants when we actually need the water to extinguish the fire. And then lastly, on the fire department, the areas that we did very well in are also the areas where we can make some improvements. Those areas are deployment. And to combat that, we're working to establish an automatic aid agreement with the city of Fort Worth. This is important because we were able to glean a significant amount of points in this deployment area because we were able to garner our resources with automatic aid agreements to the city of Saginaw, city of Newark, Eagle Mountain, and Blue Mountain. If we didn't have those mutual aid agreements, we wouldn't have those points. Ergo, we don't have that opportunity with the city of Fort Worth because they were only a mutual aid department. And that mutual aid means they'll only call or come when we actually call them directly. They don't call them on our first alarm, which is how ISO evaluates it. In the second area, we're going to look at our personnel. So we're looking at efforts to continue to increase our career staffing, but also recruiting and retaining members, volunteer members, who can dedicate time at the fire department. Unfortunately, the time of responding in is dwindling. People's time is becoming more and more precious. Family, opportunities, 2 jobs, it challenges everyone. But if we can garner our ability to recruit and attract the best of the best in this area, we can put our people in the station, either rotating shifts or however that works out, and have them available to immediately respond rather than having them wait till they get to a call and then come together and then attack the fire. ISO looks at this as actually a stronger resources of having people in the station ready to go at all times and awards more points this way. Lastly, training. So just as we have to look at new ways to hire and attract new personnel and bring personnel to the fire station, we have to look at new ways to attract people to training. With COVID and some of the other challenges we've experienced, it becomes difficult to get everybody around the table. To combat that, we've looked at opportunities for online training. We've looked at opportunities to offer more training out at local training centers. But overall, we're looking at our policies to determine what is the reasonable amount of training that we need in order to meet the requests of ISO, but not burn our people out. So while we still evaluate that, certainly that's an effort that we're looking toward, which will significantly impact the ability to recruit people because we'll have a competent and confident fire department, and also the ability to continue to serve the community in the best way we know how. So, thank you.
Thank you, Chief Schmuck, for all your hard work. And by the way, he did receive Officer of the Year at our fire banquets. All right. Any questions?
Good job, Chief. Chief Schumacher, thank you very much. Good job as well. It was a great banquet.
Got 2 quick questions. You said we're going to merge with Fort Worth. Is that correct?
We're not merging with Fort Worth. We will be utilizing their call center.
Call center, okay. And that will move us to a 1 rating, is that right?
No. They're a 1. So whenever we get reevaluated, there'll be points we can gain because they're probably obtaining the highest points of that communications piece. So cooperating with Fort Worth in various ways can only help us lower our score.
And then the last question is, as the city grows, is there plans to improve it or keep the same rating going forward because of the, all the houses being built and more people moving in?
Essentially, that lies on council to make that decision of how much money you want to spend to get to that. And so those are processes that we are working through. We'll work it through the budget process and to help you understand what it is you're buying.
Thank you.
Yep. And you'll be getting proposals in the coming future. Not next week, but it's coming. Very good. Thank you, gentlemen. Item 5D, first day to file an application for a place on the May 7th, 2022 general election ballot is Wednesday, January 19th, 2022. Council member place 1, council member place 3, and council member place 5 will be on the ballot. Item 6 are the administrative reports. 1, 3, and 5. Did I do 3? No, I didn't do 3. And may I? Very good. There it is. Thank you. I was about to, I don't remember it by verbatim. And thank you for bringing that up. Proclamation from the Mayor of Haslet, Texas, January 23rd through January 29th, 2022, City of Haslet School Choice Week. Whereas all children in the city of Haslet should have access to the highest quality education possible, and whereas City of Haslet recognizes the important role that an effective education plays in preparing all students in the city of Haslet to be successful adults, and whereas quality education is critically important to the economic vitality of the city of Haslet, and whereas City of Haslet is home to high-quality public and non-public schools from which parents can choose for their children, in addition to families who educate their children in the home. And whereas education variety not only helps to diversify our economy, but also enhances the vibrancy of our community. And whereas the City of Haslet has many high-quality teaching professionals in all types of school settings who are committed to educating our children, and whereas School Choice Week is celebrated across the country by millions of students, parents, educators, schools, and organizations to raise awareness of the need for effective education options. Now, therefore, I, Gary Hulsey, do hereby recognize January 23rd to January 29th, 2022 as City of Haslet School Choice Week, and I call this observance to the attention of all our citizens. Thank you very much. An important matter. Our administrative reports, back to item 6. I did want to call your attention that our sheriff's deputies were here. And if you had anything on the Tarrant County Sheriff's report, please ask them. But they are off and running. They are very busy tonight. So, do you have any questions on your reports, Council?
I do. Just for the sheriff's report, I just noticed in December there was a lot more traffic stops. And I don't know if it has to do with what we brought up the previous month of, is there more patrolling going on in our area?
Let's be grateful.
Yeah, no, that's what I just wanted to see if it's
Yes.
that, or is it maybe because they're stopping more people during the Christmas holiday, or what? Check for DWIs, I'm not sure.
They're focusing on that. They know it's important to our community. Also, there's just a lot more drivers and reasons for them to pull them over. And also with more excuses to pull people over as well. Nonetheless, as I learn more and more about the Tarrant County Sheriff deputies that serve our area and the tasks they're confronted with, it's a big job. Big job. Any questions on anybody online? Councilmember Clark, Councilmember Robb, any questions? Very good. Okay, let's go to item 7. Staff reports to update on active items, projects, and event recaps. Community projects. Oh, Mr. Anderson, are you there?
Projects
Community.
and funding outline for the improvements. So as long as we don't have any major changes or revisions requested by the Parks Board at their next upcoming meeting, we should hopefully have that ready to present to the council at the second meeting in February or the first meeting in March. So that's kind of where we're at on item 7A. If there's any questions?
No, I appreciate it very much. Council, do you have any questions for Mr. Anderson? No, okay, Councilmember Robb, Councilmember Clark, I don't see any questions there. All right, let's go to Public Works equipment purchases.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. What Mr. Anderson didn't tell you was they recently made an office move, which puts them much closer to us, which makes going and looking at things, or them coming and looking at things here, much quicker and much easier, because they're basically like 10 minutes away now instead of 45-minute drive to get anywhere. So that's really good. We have, the biggest thing probably is we have a big demo of a vac truck, that big $500,000 truck coming out this Friday. Once we finish that, we will quickly thereafter be making our final decision and placing that order for that machine. We've already made, the most recent order we placed was for our replacement of our UTV, our Gator, which that has been placed in his own order. So we're expecting it, as with everything else, 6 months or so probably. So in 6 months, we're going to have a lot of stuff rolling in. So every couple of weeks, I think we're going to have something new, which will be really exciting. But yeah, the big one is probably going to happen after this Friday. We'll figure out for sure which way we're going to go and make that big order. But now that one, once that's in place, that's probably a year out minimum, because they have to build those from the ground up. So they don't start till the day they get that, and then they put you in their rotation.
Council, if you'll know, you notice I took the spoils pile report off the agenda because it's still out there, but about half of it's been used. Go for it.
About half of it has been used, plus with the upcoming ILA projects with Tarrant County, we're going to be using a lot of that material there behind fire station, getting the road upgraded, the parking area ready for Tarrant County to come in and do the chip seal asphalt pavement project. So there'll be a lot of it used for that. And then I do know that Mr. Chambers has said that they may want to talk with Mr. Anderson and them about some fill on a lot that they happen to own right over here off of Westport Parkway that's in the floodplain that could use some raising. So we've got a lot of different things going on for using it all up.
Very good. Any questions for Mr. Rogers?
Thank y'all.
Thank you. Item 8, the consent agenda. We have 3 items on there. The minutes, Red Cross Shelter Agreement, and ratification of the Haslet Economic Development Corporation Type A. Do we have any questions on these? Any of these items you'd like to pull to get more information or ask questions on?
This Councilmember Clark, I just have a question on item 8C. The subject says type A, but the background information says type B, and I believe it is type B. So I just want to clarify on that.
Mr. Chambers.
That is correct. The backup information is correct. I am at a loss as to how I managed to put in type A in the, I apologize. But the background is correct. It was ratifying the type B Haslet Community and Economic Development Corporation actions.
Okay.
I apologize.
Council, if you would please make a note, that is ratification of the Haslet Economic Development Corporation Type B action. Go ahead. I'm sorry to interrupt. Need to make that clarification. And Councilmember Clark, did you have questions for, and thank you for that. Thank you very much. Did you have questions for Thad?
Oh, no questions. I just wanted to make sure I had that correct. Thank you.
Good job. Thanks. All right, we have the consent agenda, council. Motion?
Are we wanting to do these individually or?
No, you do, you consent agenda, you approve them all at one time. You can do A, B, and C individually, or you can just make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Have we
It's that
discussed
simple.
8B, the Red Cross shelter agreement yet?
We just
8B?
asked, he just asked for questions. We haven't really.
Oh,
yeah,
do you
so-
have a question? No, it would be approving all of this at one time. So the motion, okay.
It's Councilmember Ricketts. I will move to approve all 8A, 8B, and 8C consent agendas as presented.
Motion is made to approve the consent agenda as presented. Is there a second?
I second.
There is a second. Discussion. Okay, I'll call for the vote. I'll do a roll call vote. Mayor Pro Tem,
Aye.
Councilmember Ricketts,
Aye.
Councilmember Nahira,
Aye.
Councilmember Clark,
Aye.
Councilmember Robb.
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0. Thank you, council. Item 9, public hearings, ordinances, resolutions, and action items. 9A, discuss, consider, and act regarding approving an ordinance renaming John Day Road in the city of Haslet to John Day Road North and John Day Road South. And who will do the presentation on this? Mr. Rogers. Can you show the map, please?
Yeah, there should be, not that one, should be there it is. Yes, Mayor and Council, this came to our attention that there was, in the original setup for this road, there was never a prefix, north-south prefix put on the roadway. And we've had some issues with some things going on with the new middle school building and stuff that needed to know north or south. Currently, there's no place to turn to go north, but there is another place up beyond us in another city that has John Day Road on into another county. So to get this kind of cleaned up, and also in truth to actually eventually follow with our newer, what we've done with our street policy that we came up with for naming and addressing all the streets in town, to make it match. We wanted to make this match, and that's why we did this, so that the addresses basically from Old Town here, with the way that the previous administration 35 years ago decided to address our city. This here is the center of the world, right here, Main and 156. So everything goes out based on that intersection. So we drew the map to match that and are asking that you pass an ordinance so that we can enforce this. Plus, I got to send that, have to have an ordinance to get it changed through TAD. Even though we don't have any addresses currently that this would affect, we only have addresses to the south, so this will be only adding a S basically on all of those. But as future goes, and we do eventually have a road from Avondale heading out north to connect to Fort Worth, section of John Day, we will have one at some point. So it's a good time now to get this fixed. We only have one address currently on that south section of road, and that is the new middle school driveway. Nothing else yet, so this is a good time to get it done before we have any more. So we're asking that you approve this ordinance so that we can move forward with this.
Very good. Thank you. Council, any questions for David?
Just a quick question. Is there going to be any signage changes that we're going to be responsible for?
We will have 2 signs that will have to be changed currently, but that's it. Which, that's why I'm saying now's a good time to get on this, because we don't have to do a whole lot to get caught up.
Motion?
Yes, do we need to, know the ordinance number or just say just the ordinance and then you can number it?
It'll get numbered after the
Perfect.
meeting.
Then I'd like to make a motion to approve an ordinance renaming John Day Road in the city of Haslet to John Day Road North and John Day Road South.
Motion is made to approve the ordinance renaming John Day Road in the city of Haslet to John Day Road North and John Day Road South. Is there a second?
Councilmember Ricketts, I'll second.
It is seconded. Any further discussion? I'll call for the vote. Mayor Pro Tem Morrow,
Aye.
Councilmember Ricketts,
Aye.
Councilmember Nahira,
Aye.
Councilmember Clark,
Aye.
Councilmember Robb.
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0. Thank you, council.
Thank y'all.
9B, discuss, consider, and act regarding approving an ordinance amending Article 12.04 speed regulations of the City of Haslet Code to reduce the speed limit on the portion of John Day Road between Avondale Haslet Road and Blue Mound Road, which is now known as John Day Road South. So, David, please.
Yes, this road, when it first was constructed, first done in plans, they, at that point, put a 45-mile-an-hour speed limit on there because it was a collector street. But now we've received a number of emails, and I've gotten a number of phone calls about issues of the speeds on that road, because it is, anyone who's been out there's not a lot of cross streets yet, so it is pretty much wide open. But we're also going to have brand new middle school opening up on this road, future high school on this road. So looking at it from those standpoints, looking at the safety issues that we have out there, the number of people currently who live in the one small neighborhood there across to the east side of the road, whose children go to the elementary school there, who just making that crossing when everyone's flying through there at 45, because that means they're all doing about 55 to 65. It's not a lot of fun, and we have a lot of those kids, when the weather's nice, that those families in that neighborhood do use the sidewalks. They do walk to school every day. It's nice. They are out there walking. And crossing over that road at 45 miles an hour is not something for the faint of heart. So we've asked that, for safety reasons, that we lower that speed limit to that entire roadway, which will make the entire thing, it will just make everything much safer and sets us up when the new school does open and stuff. It will be much better. And as these other portions of the next phases start opening, then we do have other streets that are actually going to open in, it will make traffic and safety in that neighborhood much better.
Mr. Rogers, everything I see on this exhibit says 45. What are we lowering it to?
35 miles per hour.
So that will be from Avondale Haslet going south to Blue Mound Road, 35 miles an hour.
Yes.
Okay, very good.
That's why it also is showing you this one will require a number of signs to be changed out. Luckily for us, in some ways, the signs won't go to waste. They will be put back into stock. We use a lot of 35s and a lot of 45s scattered around the city, so they'll just be put back in our warehouse for stock to take the place of the ones who get regularly ran over on our other streets around town. So it's not like they go to waste. They'll just be reused.
So is every red box that does have a
That
sign? I mean, I've
is a
driven that, but I guess I've never noticed all the
Yes,
signs.
that is a sign at every one.
I did have a question. So on the emails and some of the concerns about the speed, has anybody mentioned the racing that's happening in the evening? Because around 10 o'clock, I can hear it. And I've had
Not a
neighbors
whole
in
lot. We
Ashmore.
have had a few, and the sheriffs have mentioned it. Not as many have complained about that yet, but there again,
I've heard about that happening.
that section over there, not as many homes over there yet, but they are now, those are being built, and a lot of those will probably start being filled up, actually being occupied. I expect it will definitely increase because there will be more people close by than there are today.
Well, I will tell you, yes. I've gotten a lot of that. So there's two things, racing And the other is when particularly going south, people, there's that long stretch and they see a train coming and they will try to beat the train. They'll run the stop sign and make the left to go east and try to, get across there before the arms come. That has created a very dangerous situation. So I have been in conversation with Mr. Rogers and Mr. Anderson how we can effectively address that and make them slow down.
Yes,
Particularly and stop at that stop sign. So there's some things that'll be coming to you in the very near
expect that to
future.
be coming based on our traffic calming policy that was passed a few years back. There will be some recommendations coming forward shortly as we get a chance to finish those up. We want to get this speed limit, though, taken care of now. That gets us started down that pathway for people to start noticing that things are changing.
Yeah, we have the standard set on Schoolhouse Road being 35, so I think it's I think it's a great idea.
Is there any future talk of school zone if there are students crossing that road?
There is a current speed zone for the schools, which we're waiting right now on a study from the engineering firm with the ISD for recommendations for that entire area to take into account the middle school and the high school, so we can go ahead and make plans for this, because the current zone is just one area there for the elementary school. But that's part of what we're looking for them to send us their study on their traffic studies and give us some recommendations that we can look at, see whether they seem reasonable, something we can work with, and then we will go back and work with the developers right now, since it's still theirs to deal with, and try to get some improvements made before we take full possession of those things.
That was started about 3 months ago, this conversation. And, the engineer was engaged, and the NISD developer responsible for this, and that's where it's at. So I don't know when they'll be finishing up their study. It should be very soon.
Yeah,
Maybe
I would hope soon.
we'll make a note that maybe you
'Cause,
could
I'd
call
talked
and
with,
check and see when they'll be done.
Sarah Stewart just recently about that, and she told me that they were moving forward, and hopefully we would have some kind of answers soon.
So how would that work? If they come in and say we want the entire road to be 20 miles an hour, like Texan Drive, would we say sure, or would we say we want to?
They would give
we would
recommendations
so it's a
for what they
recommendation.
want. We would then look at them. Mike would help us. We would all look at these. Then we probably will come forward to city council with, okay, we've looked at these. We kind of agree with this one. We're not sure about this one. Maybe y'all want to look at this. There'll be some time periods where y'all will be looking at these.
But it's ultimately the city's.
Yeah,
Your-
ultimately,
it's
it'll
our
be
street.
y'all
Your
that will
decision.
decide, and then we go to the developer and say, okay, this is what they've decided they like, and we'll be working with them to get as many of those installed and taken care of now, instead of waiting till it becomes a problem.
Now, let me draw the council's attention back to the agenda item.
Yeah.
The speed limit. So we've had the presentation. Any other? Did we have a motion and a second? We have not had a motion and a second yet. Could I have a motion, please?
Councilmember Ricketts, I move to approve an ordinance amending Article 12.04 speed regulations of the Haslet City Code to reduce the speed limit on the portion of John Jay Road between Avondale Haslet Road and Blue Mound Road from 45 miles an hour to 35.
Motion is made to approve the ordinance amending Article 12.04 speed regulations of the City of Haslet, or regulations of the Haslet City Code to reduce the speed limit on the portion of John Day Road between Avondale Haslet and Blue Mound Road from 45 miles an hour to 35 miles an hour. Is there a second?
I'll second, Mayor Pro Tem Morrow.
There is a second. Any discussion? No discussion. I will call for the vote. Mayor Pro Tem Morrow.
Aye.
Councilmember Ricketts.
Aye.
Councilmember Nahira.
Aye.
Councilmember Robb.
Aye.
Councilmember Clark.
Aye.
Motion is approved, 5-0. Thank you, council.
Thank y'all.
9C, discuss, consider, and act regarding approving a Haslet Capital Improvements Advisory Committee recommendation concerning the water and sewer impact fee biannual report. Mr. Anderson?
Yes, sir. Good evening, Mayor, Council. It's Mike Anderson here. What you have before you is a recommendation from Chairman Kadesh, who is responsible for putting together a recommendation from your Capital Improvement Advisory Committee. That's a biannual committee that meets to examine impact fees collected during the prior collection period, look at land use assumptions that were used in developing your capital improvement plan and calculating your impact fees, and make recommendations to you, the city council, as far as how those fees should be utilized moving forward. The city has a 10-year capital improvement plan for water and sewer that's outlined basically on, I think, the last page of this handout here. It shows all the eligible water and sewer capital improvement projects that the city has contained in their water and sewer master plan studies. There it is. And so the recommendation from the board is that all of the eligible collected funds be utilized towards the project as outlined on your 10-year capital improvement plan that you see here, towards the eligible costs of those particular projects. You'll note that the actual cost exceeds the eligible costs, and that's due to the 50% credit that's given to developers through the calculation of the fee in accordance with Chapter 395 of the Local Government Code. So basically, we've got quite a few projects that need to get taken care of. We've started a couple of those, and then we're also in the process of reevaluating some of these improvements that have been mainly on the water side that were developed back in 2018 that encompass bulk of the projects that you see on the list here. So we should be working through those analysis over the next several months, and may have a recommendation for you in the future that might look a little bit different. But we have to go through and do an update to the water master plan and capital improvement plan, which it looks like we'll need to be doing probably this year, if not the start of the next fiscal year. Is your last capital improvement plan for water was done in 2018. So state requires that be looked at a minimum of every 5 years. So we're in the process of beginning that. Again, looks like you guys have collected a little under $1.5 million of water and sewer impact fees from October 2020 through September 30th of 2021 towards these eligible projects. I don't know if there's any questions for me about the projects or the recommendation or the calculation. If there's any of those, I'll entertain those and attempt to answer those at this time.
Council, any questions? Online there, Councilmember Clark, Councilmember Robb. Okay, very good. If there are no questions, no discussion, if I could have a motion, please.
I'll make a motion to approve the Haslet Capital Improvements Advisory Committee recommendation concerning the water and sewer impact fee biannual report.
Motion is made to accept the Haslet Capital Investments Advisory Committee recommendation concerning the water and sewer impact fee biannual report. Is there a second?
Councilmember Ricketts.
There's a second. Any further discussion? I call for the vote. Mayor Pro Tem Morrow.
Aye.
Councilmember Ricketts.
Aye.
Councilmember Nahira.
Aye.
Councilmember Clark.
Aye.
Councilmember Robb.
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0. Thank you, council. Item 9D, discuss, consider, and act regarding approving the elimination of Laterra Phase 3 Pocket Park Perimeter Sidewalks. I believe, is that yours, Mr. Rogers?
Again. And it's probably better, yes, if you look at the pictures. This is a request from the developer. When they got down to actually getting ready to start on this, they started noticing that their little pocket park, because our ordinance under section 3.9 of our subdivision ordinance requires you to have sidewalks along street sides. Well, this lot that they created for this pocket park is nothing but street side on all sides. And they noticed how much of the space it was taking out by putting all this concrete in. And so they came back with the next slide, which is a change they would like to do, keeping the main sidewalk there along the Arrowwood Lane, which is the collector street for the neighborhood, and was also the connecting to the farther areas of open space into the neighborhood, farther down to the north, or to the south and to the north. And they wanted to have more green space, since there is a sidewalk across the street in front of all the housing lots, on all the way around has a sidewalk. This would just be one sidewalk cutting across and leaving the portion to the east open for more grass, more green space, more places to plant, and have places where people could run or walk or take their dogs. Just basically more green space was their biggest idea in doing this. This is why they're asking that, because the ordinance does not specifically say that you have to have it everywhere. It says it on the street, but it doesn't take into account lots like this. It's usually considered that you're going to have one side, maybe two on a lot, not all sides with a street. That's why they had asked this, and that's why they sent their drawings over and asked for y'all to consider allowing them to have more green space, less concrete.
What about it, Mr. Rogers? I think it's a good idea. I think it's
From everything we've looked at, the way it works, the way especially since that Arrowwood is their main drive through there, and it complements the other green space across the street that also already has sidewalk and all. We thought that's probably, for such a small lot, that's a lot of concrete. If you put sidewalks all the way around it, you take up everything that's green about it.
any questions?
Yeah, so this is only regarding this triangle lot here?
That is all.
So just no sidewalks around this area?
They just want to have the one sidewalk that they're having, showing it actually encroaching inward, making it a little bit more of a walk through and around the flower bed area and the street area that they want to do there along the street, and leaving a big grassy area in the middle, and then some more plantings on the far east end.
About what size land, is this like 1/8 of an acre?
Oh, no, that is probably slightly under 1/2 of an acre.
Okay, just under 1/2 an acre.
It's a
to give
small
you
area. I mean,
envision the land
about
area.
a lot wide on one end, but then it tapers down so fast, it is really small.
Very good.
This is phase 3 too, which I think we just talked about.
Yes, this
So
is in
we-
their phase 3 section.
There's been nobody looking at this, or this is not even final.
No, it's not finalized out, so this is something they wanted to get in now before we go through the final walkthroughs and do stuff.
I'm trying to think of this as someone that, I walk a lot with my dog or, myself, and a lot of parks, have that concrete around the parking, so you can go around the entire park. So for me, I like the idea of keeping the sidewalk, but I'm also, on the other side, it's small, such a small amount of green space, and they are having a little bit of a walkthrough on that left side. So although I would kind of prefer to have the walkway all the way around, I think that's what they'd like, and if everybody's okay with that, then I can see if I was walking around the other sidewalk and I just cut through and then continue back on the sidewalk, but I would never walk the entire park just in the grass, personally.
I have a question, David. The perimeter of this park, as it's the proposed change, is that grass?
Yes.
Okay.
And since the park, if you notice the way it's laid out, there's no way to connect on the east end to any other sidewalks. You have to always stay there. You can't really, the only connections are down here at Arrowwood that you can actually walk across as far as crossing the street, other than, jaywalk in the middle of the block.
Now, will this have a curb around it?
Yes, it'll have a curb all the way around. So everything will be, normal looking street. It'll just be a little more green, won't have as much concrete.
So people can walk on the grass?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay, good. Good. If there's no other questions, council, I'd use a motion.
Mayor Halsey,
Yes.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the elimination of Laterra Phase 3 Pocket Park perimeter sidewalks as presented.
Motion is made to approve the elimination of Laterra Phase 3 Pocket Park perimeter sidewalks as presented. Is there a second?
This is Councilmember Clark. I'll second.
Councilmember Clark seconds. Okay, roll call vote. Or first, any further discussion? Okay, roll call vote. Mayor Pro Tem.
Aye.
Councilmember Ricketts.
Aye.
Councilmember Nahira.
Aye.
Councilmember Clark.
Aye.
Councilmember Robb.
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0. Thank you, council.
Thank you, council.
Thank you, David. Item 9E, discuss, consider, and act regarding the Community Facilities Agreement between the City of Haslet and SRPF C, Haslet Crossing Edition, or Haslet Crossing, or Haslet Crossing Edition, or Haslet Crossing Edition. And I assume that's Mr. Anderson?
Yes, sir. Mayor, Council, what you have before you this evening is a modified version of the city's standard community facilities agreement. This agreement is required via your subdivision ordinance to memorialize the intricacies of a project as they relate to on and off-site public facilities associated with a project. So what we're talking about this evening is the Haslet Crossing project. If you recall, that's the 29-acre, 3-lot light industrial / commercial development north of Caraway. And if you'll recall, one of the conditions of the final plat approval by the council was the determination on whether or not this particular development had the requirement under zoning and the thoroughfare plan to extend the width of Pask Drive to 36 feet as measured back to back of curb. It was determined back in the early fall that that was indeed a requirement of this particular development's responsibilities. And so they have gone through and put together a set of construction plans for those improvements. We have reviewed and approved those off-site infrastructure items. They're in the process of trying to get their final construction plans for some of their on-site water facilities fine-tuned a little bit. So we should have those back from them and reviewed shortly, at which point I suspect they'll want to move forward with construction of the project. So this agreement just puts in place all the requirements from any antecedent development agreements, zoning ordinances, et cetera. And then at the tail end of the agreement, we have cost estimates that are used to calculate plan review and inspection fees associated with the community facilities for the project. So you'll see those here in the back. They had a $250,000 set of improvements associated with Pass Drive. So that gets that to that ultimate section, is laid out on your thoroughfare plan. So that was something that, the city won't have to pay for at a later date to accommodate the increased traffic and use of that particular roadway. Really not a lot of, if you go 2 more pages down, James, there should be Exhibit C. We could go to that real quick. I'm assuming James is operating the computer here. So there you go. You got a brief summary of the on-site and off-site improvements. You'll note that for this particular project, the on-site water and sewer were relatively minor. This particular development contributed quite heavily to the Haslet Parkway project, and water and sewer service was provided by the utilities that have gone in ahead of the Haslet Parkway project. So again, on-site, off-site, we got the summary, and then we show the calculated fees associated with the project. So with your approval of this evening, we'll move forward, get this item or this agreement executed by the developer. We'll have a pre-construction meeting, and they'll be off and running on their particular project. I'm available for any questions if there are any need for any further explanation on my part.
That was very good. Council, do you have any questions on this? On the CFA? Online, Councilmember Robb, Councilmember Clark. I see no questions. All right, then, no further discussion. All right, I'll call for the vote.
Need a motion.
Oh, yeah, we do. That would help. That would help. If we could have a motion, please.
It's Councilmember Ricketts. I move to accept the community facilities agreement between the City of Haslet and SRPF Haslet Crossing Edition for the Haslet Crossing Edition.
Motion is made to accept the community facilities agreement between the City of Haslet and SRPF Haslet Crossing Edition for Haslet Crossing Edition. Is there a second?
This is Councilmember Nahara, I second.
Councilmember Nahara seconds. I'll call for the vote. Mayor Pro Tem?
Aye.
Councilmember Ricketts?
Aye.
Councilmember Nahara?
Aye.
Councilmember Clark?
Aye.
Councilmember Robb?
Aye.
Thank you, Council. Motion passes 5-0. Item 9F. Discuss, consider, and act regarding approving a move to a new library system called Metro Share to better serve our community patrons. Ms. Barbara Thompson. We cannot hear you. You'll need to unmute. There
Can
you
you
are.
hear me?
There you are.
Okay. We're asking to leave the Evergreen Consortium and move to this Co-op Consortium because in Evergreen, all of our support is done by volunteers from each library. In the very recent past, we have lost a library director in 2 of our libraries. So now we have not got any IT support or legal advice. We need, as a library, to be a little more have support. So if we have IT problems or any type of training or anything that we need, as we grow, we need to be with a system that there is sustainability. Many of the libraries in the Evergreen Consortium are also looking to leave Evergreen to move to a system where there is some kind of a support system. So we're asking to move to Koha because it's close. They share a lot more than just books. They share people, they share items. And they've asked us, they really would like Haslet to join. So that's what we are requesting.
So this the library system is a system that ties multiple libraries, city libraries together to function together and share information. Is that correct?
Correct.
And Evergreen has a good idea at the time, but it's just not making the grade right now.
Yeah, we're outgrowing it.
Okay, and currently this will impact our budget, correct?
Correct. For
And
eight
our
months,
Evergreen, what is our annual expense on that? Do you know?
$1,200.
$1,200 annually, and this will be, annual cost is,
$2,200.
what's this total 1 year cost that I see? It's $8,000.
Okay, that's the cost to transfer all of our records, all of our books, all of our patrons, all of our catalog system over into their system to match with all of those libraries.
So that's a one-time cost,
Yes,
and then it says a total 2 year cost. So from then on, it's essentially $1,100 a year. Is that correct?
$2,200 a
Oh,
year.
and year 2 is $2,200.
Yes,
All right, so the ask right now for funding is $8,140. Is that correct?
correct.
Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, council, we do not have that budgeted, but we do have our contingency line item, and they can very comfortably absorb this. So with your motion, I would include this $8,400 if you're so inclined to be taken out of the contingency line item. Yes.
The total year one cost of $8,140, that includes that $2,200 of what that first year would cost. Is that correct?
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
thank you.
I've got a question as well. What did you say the cost of the current system is?
The current
$1,200.
system is $1,200 a year.
Okay. And then the difference, I guess the new services that they're providing are much better because they provide tech support. Is that right?
Yes, they do all the support. We're like, right now, we're just, whatever librarian is free to do it can do it, and that's not working out very well.
Okay, I would like to make a motion to approve a move to the new library system Metro Share to better serve our community patrons, taking the $8,140 out of the contingency line item.
Very good. The motion is made to approve the move to the new library system, Metro Share, to better serve our community patrons, and take the $8,140 out of the contingency line item. Is there a second?
This is Councilmember Clark, I'll second.
Councilmember Clark seconds. Any further discussion? All right, roll call vote. Mayor Pro Tem,
Aye.
Councilmember Ricketts,
Aye.
Councilmember Nahira,
Aye.
Councilmember Clark,
Aye.
Councilmember Robb.
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0. Thank you, council. Thank you, Barbara.
Thank you.
Before I, you know what? We'll put this up on the website about your award. You can prepare a little write-up for that. If we would take the agreement first, development agreement first, and then do the plat, if you so entertain. All right, there's no objections, and that's what we'll do. Let's go to 9H. Discuss, consider, and act regarding the approval of the Gaddy Edition pre-annex and development agreement. Staff presentation.
Yeah, I'll do this one.
Thank you.
This is in regard to a piece of property that's actually in the extraterritorial jurisdiction. And so there's no land use controls on the property. However, the applicant is willing to enter into a pre-annexation agreement where after a period of time, 4 years, or until his structures are all completed, he would come into the city, and that at that point, we would have full land use control. And so it benefits the city, but there's also some return on his part too in relationship to a fire line that so we have a long-term fire protection for the site. Having said that, this is it's actually a win-win for both the city and the developer. We get a long-term benefit from this pre-annexation agreement, and he gets immediate benefit from it also. And it establishes uses. And he's in the process of building RV storage and boat storage. And there are some other uses that are non-high intensity uses. No retail, unless it's just as a auxiliary to the proposed uses that have been listed out. But it'll keep the traffic impact on Blue Mountain Road down. Yet he has the flexibility to do several types of uses up on some of the front property right behind a detention pond.
I would just like to comment those the other uses. It's he has it's an 8.5 acre site. 2.5 of it is what would be the non-commercial. Mr. Gaddy, would you like to come up? The the commercial with incidental warehousing development. And the uses that you've seen that's in the agreement, that would be for that 2.5 acre commercial development. Would you like to state anything, Mr. Gaddy, on this?
Just if there's any questions, I'll be glad to answer them from the council or anyone.
We might want to pull up the exhibit. It's one of the last, the third from the last sheet. That shows a site plan right there. On the right-hand side is the green back here. This is Blue Mountain Road right here. He's currently building a warehouse building here. This is the detention pond. There's vacant land up here that plans have not been identified. So that's where those extra uses would come in.
And then I think at the last page of this agreement shows, there you are, what those
those are projects that we've done in the past, Representative. And to be completely frank, I don't know what's going to happen on the front at this point of the uses that are available to us.
But you said these are some of the projects y'all have done in the past.
Yes.
But the plan is to make RV and boat storage. Is that correct?
Yeah, that is correct. The whole lot is an RV and boat storage facility, and I want to also preface that by saying that are there any RV and boat owners in the council?
Yeah, I used to own a boat and I have an RV. Yes.
It's really a headache to have a place to park them, and what we know, based on the subdivisions that you guys are allowing, and rightfully so, everything's deed restricted, right? You can't park at your house. And so the number one goal for people is they want to park close to home. That's it. Right now, citizens of Haslet are going to Justin, they're going to Keller, they're going to Eagle Mountain, they're going everywhere, and it's really inconvenient. So this is a solution, and this will be, I hesitate to say the premier, but it will be a premier site. This is not a junkyard. These two buildings that we have on here have fully automated openers. So you'll pull in, the app created is Bluetooth on your phone. You don't have to roll the window down. The garage doors have operators. They lift, you roll in, back your place in, close the app on the garage door. We have free ice, air compressors, dump station, fresh potable water. Everything is solid surface, either asphalt or concrete parking. Really will be a super very nice place for the owners to be.
Very good. Council? All right. Let's, as far as staff presentation, I I should end that unless you had any more questions for Mr. Gaddy. I can't see our online council people. There they are. Councilmember Rob or Clark, did you have questions for Mr. Gaddy?
As Councilmember Rob, it's not clear to me looking at this where the RVs would be parked. Is it on the right-hand side of the dump station where it says gravel area, or is it on the left side where it says pad sites?
Well, it would be both, potentially at this point, until we figure out what the usage for the gravel area is. Everything on the left, if you're looking at the screen, those are either fully enclosed buildings or they're canopied structures.
The very first building, the largest one that you see, Rob, is the enclosed building.
Yeah, and there's an enclosed building at the very back end as well on the far left.
Okay, and then there leaves 3 canopy covered.
4 canopies.
Okay. The area in the front that's gravel that you see right now, that's where Mr. Gaddy is explaining he would want either expand this same type arrangement he has now for RV and boat storage facilities, or do the commercial office park type arrangement that you saw the pictures down below. So that would give him the flexibility to respond as to how the market responds to him.
Correct. And we also have the option, if the market dictates, to go ahead and do a subdivision plat and sell it. I just don't know. We just don't know. We have no customers yet, so it's really hard to predict what's going to happen on the frontage. But we know the frontage is the most valuable piece of the property, so that's why we left that option to give us some flexibility.
Make it clear if there was a sale, this agreement goes with that sale.
I see it's laid back a little bit from the main road. Are you going to be able to see it from the road?
When you're driving up and you go over the hill, you can look to your right. You see it back there. It's far back, but it looks nice. What's there right now?
We built a nice facility. It is pretty far back. What makes it so, I guess, big when you look at it is that it's on top of the hill, and so it's up the hill. So that does. But the detention pond's 150 feet deep. We've got 330 feet of the sort of open area in the front. I mean, we're pretty far back with that first building. So.
How deep is that pond?
How deep?
Yeah, you said 150 feet deep.
Well,
I believe he meant wide on this one.
Deep from the beginning of the road, deep into the project.
Maybe you ought to do some scuba diving.
Yeah, that would be. Yeah. So.
And I don't know if this is for you or it's for Mr. Schwank. Is you said that this is a 4-year plan. You've already got this back part built, the 4-year.
It's in the proposal, the annexation agreement, that if his project is not finished after 4 years, then will come into the city. If he finishes his project, all his land is built out prior to that, then that is when it can come into the city.
Okay.
This is Councilmember Rob. I have another question. Is in the agreement, is there any discussion of signage? I'm just thinking of what happened with the fireworks stand. And is there a way to put limits on what kind of signage goes up here?
So there's not going to be a sign like that. We have a sign permit already approved from the city. The sign will go between the gravel area and the detention pond, and it's 20 feet, 5 feet tall, so it's not a big, massive sign. It's just a phone number. It's not a big, obnoxious fireworks. And the mayor and I have had multiple discussions about things not looking like the fireworks building, and that's why in our agreement you'll also see that anything that we might build on the frontage is limited to a single-story building.
Mr. Gaddy understands. And to answer your question, Councilmember Rob, there's not any specific language in that agreement about signage. All right, let's go to sub item 2, discussion. Any discussion on this? You have any questions? So, Councilmember Rob, you're bringing up the issue about signage. Any discussion on that?
Well, no, so long as there's an understanding, I guess that I'm satisfied. But I was thinking, well, if this agreement goes with the sale of the property, what would the next owner, the possible next owner, would he be agreeable, or he or she be agreeable to that understanding without anything being written down?
Sorry, was that for me?
Please go ahead.
I was going to say, if the property sells, and I don't know what the long-term strategy is for that, they have to accept the agreement. That's part of the sales package, is that this is what you have collectively. Here's the agreement that we have with the city. You're going to assume this. The sign that we have already permitted, which we've received that permit back probably April or May of last year, along with the driveway permit. So it was in accordance with the city of Haslet's signage ordinances or whatever they have already. So that was already approved. So nobody's going to be able to come in and put up, a fireworks sign up there. It's just not going to happen. The sign that we've permitted was either 4 feet or 5 feet tall. It's 20 feet long, and it stays 1 foot off the ground. So it's not up in your air in the face. So at the very height, it would be 6 feet high off the ground, and it's back behind the detention pond. That's where it was proposed.
So let me ask this, so that sign is in accordance with the City of Haslet sign ordinance?
As far as I know, it was permitted last year sometime. I don't know exactly the date when, but they had samples of the sign, drawings, all of that was submitted at the time we submitted for that permit.
It would have came to city council, it required a variance. I don't remember that, so it must have been, right?
Mr. Rogers, Mr. Anderson, do you know anything about it? Mr. Thetford, is that sign that's been approved in accordance with and this is just Mr. Gaddy, this is out of curiosity, is it in accordance with city sign ordinance? All right. To make the council a little more comfortable, in case of what you brought up, it could be sold. Would you have any objection so it is in accordance with our sign ordinance, that we add in the agreement that signage is in accordance with the City of Haslet sign ordinance?
Yeah, of course we should add that.
Very good. Okay, so whomever makes the motion to include signage is to be in accordance with the City of Haslet sign ordinance. All right, let's go to consideration and action if you're ready for it.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the Gaddy addition pre-annexation development agreement with the addition that any sign fits the Haslet city sign ordinance.
Okay, motion is made to approve the Gaddy addition pre-annexation development agreement, with also the stipulation that the agreement contain that any signage be in accordance with the city sign ordinance. Is there a second?
Councilmember Ricketts, I'll second.
There is a second, Councilmember Ricketts. Any further discussion? All right, a roll call vote. Mayor Pro Tem.
Aye.
Councilmember Ricketts.
Aye.
Councilmember Nahira.
Aye.
Councilmember Clark. Councilmember Clark.
Aye.
Councilmember Robb.
Aye.
Thank you, council. Motion passes 5-0. Okay, let's go back up to 9G. And this will be the actual final plat All right, 9G, discuss, consider, and act regarding the approval of the Gaddy Addition Final Development Plat. Staff presentation, sir.
Mayor Holsey and members of the council, this is the plat that we just talked about, the pre-annexation, and it contains 8.5 acres. And the basic use on this plat within the ETJ is boat, RV storage, with potential of some other commercial type activities in the front as spelled out in the pre-annexation. The staff has reviewed this plat from an engineering standpoint, and they have no more comments, and staff is in favor of this.
Very good. Let's go to item 2, discussion. The pre-annexation gave you a very good review of the project, of what it is.
And I see it did go to the planning and zoning.
Yes.
And
Yes.
They recommended approval.
Mr. Anderson, do you have anything you would like to add to the final plat?
It might be worth pointing out that Mr. Gaddy's project would be contributing approximately $107,000 towards the Blue Mound Road improvements project. But other than that, I don't have anything else to add.
Very good. Any further discussion? All right, let's go to item 3, consideration and action. So a motion, please.
Mayor Halsey,
Yes.
I make a motion to approve the Gaddy Addition Final Development Plat as presented.
Motion is made to approve the Gaddy Addition Final Development Plat as presented. Is there a second?
Councilmember Ricketts, I'll second.
Councilmember Ricketts seconds. All right, any further discussion? I call for the vote. Roll call. Mayor Pro Tem.
aye.
Councilmember Ricketts.
Aye.
Councilmember Nahira.
Aye.
Councilmember Clark.
Aye.
Councilmember Robb.
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0. Thank you, council. Thank you, Mr. Gaddy. I'd like to make a note. We've all been working on this for about, 7 months, 6 months?
I was working on it with the previous engineering.
That's true. So it's been a long road for Mr. Gaddy, and he's just been a pleasure to work with. Thank you, sir. Item 9I, discuss, consider, and act regarding the approval of a preliminary plat for lots 1 through 7, Block A, and lots 1 through 4, Block B, Vista Ridge Commercial. Mr. Schwanke.
Yes. Mayor Halsey, members of the council, this is a tract of land that's immediately to the east and south of the property we just looked at in the extraterritorial jurisdiction of the city. And there is a pre-annexation agreement that's being worked on that's quite similar to the one that we just approved with Mr. Gaddy's property. And this tract has 11 lots on it, and therefore there's a preliminary plat, and there's engineering plans, preliminary engineering plans that have been looked at, and it's our understanding that the owner of this property is anxious to get going on it. And it has been recommended for approval by the Planning and Zoning Commission, and there is also a little bit over $107,000 that's being contributed in the plat towards Blue Mound Road. So both property to the west and east, they have approximately the same amount of frontage, and they're both contributing to the road. There will be a 12-inch water line that's being proposed that runs through this property, and then Mr. Gaddy's property will connect to that, hopefully with a fire line also. And it's a plat that's been reviewed by our engineering staff and been approved by recommended for approval by the Planning and Zoning Commission, and the staff is in support.
Mr. Scott Schombacher is online with us, and should you have any questions, or Mr. Schombacher, would you like to add to the presentation of this project?
Well, I would like to add that this is a unique commercial project. We are going to not only develop but build the buildings on each lot. These structures are going to be sold to business users, and the design of them will be something that is a little more contemporary than your traditional office warehouse. And we have our first client is, we're looking to do a project that's over $3 million on an acre and a half. And so we're excited to get started. And if anyone has any questions, I'd like to hear those.
I know that, could you bring those pictures up? Since you made reference to the, these are illustrations provided by Mr. Schombacher to the city as to the type of office space that each lot would have. And so this is to denote the style and materials
Correct.
and things that he would intend to use. And so there's a variety. There's show both, you might scroll back and forth on them a little bit, but that's his intent. And that's in the coming week, you will have a developer agreement again. And also included in that developer agreement, these same pictures will be included. You're just getting an early shot of what this is, but right now what's before you is the preliminary plat. But the developer agreement and final plat is forthcoming.
Question for Mr. Schombacher. Are these existing buildings that you have constructed or just concept plans?
No. I have some. We've built several buildings. I've been a custom home builder for over 27 years, and but our combination of steel frames, steel spans, along with the different materials for the facade, whether it's a combination of metal with whether it's stucco, wood, brick, things like that. We've recently completed some buildings that are in the ETJ of Fort Worth, but we didn't put those photos up here.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Anderson, anything you want to add to the final plat? Any comments?
No, sir. I think the staff's done a good job of presenting this item.
Any questions for Mr. Schwanke?
Yes, Councilmember Rob again. I would hope that we could incorporate the sign ordinance requirements in either this or the facilities agreement, wherever is most appropriate.
This will come. That will be addressed in coming weeks when the developer agreement and the final plat, just as we have done on the previous client, Mr. Gaddy. We had the developer agreement, and then we had his final plat. We will do likewise on this, and that's when that will be presented to you. All right, then. There's no discussion. Councilmember Rob, any other questions? Councilmember Clark? All right, very good. Let's go to item 3, consideration and action. Someone like to make a motion?
Councilmember Ricketts, I move to approve the preliminary plat for lots 1 through 7, Block A, and lots 1 through 4, Block B, Vista Ridge Commercial, as presented.
Motion is made to approve the preliminary plat for lots 1 through 7, Block A, and lots 1 through 4, Block B, Vista Ridge Commercial. Is there a second?
Councilmember Nahara, I second that.
All right, Councilmember Nahara seconds. Any other discussion? Roll call vote. Mayor Pro Tem,
Aye.
Councilmember Ricketts,
Aye.
Councilmember Nahara,
Aye.
Councilmember Clark,
Aye.
Councilmember Robb.
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0. Thank you, Council. 9J, discuss, consider, and act regarding approving a site plan for 405 Westport Parkway. Mr. Schwanke.
Mayor Halsey and members of the council, this is a site plan that you actually looked at a few months back, and it was a little bit smaller. In the review of their site, they were able to add 50,000 square foot to the north of the existing or proposed building and make this a little bit over a 400,000 square foot building on 37.915 acres. And they have submitted the site plan. The site plan's been looked at by the Planning and Zoning Commission, and they recommended approval. One of the things that the company is doing is working on some plans for the west entryway along Westport Parkway to do some improvements there, and those plans are under review by our engineering and their engineering on the project. Having said that, this has been recommended for approval by the P&Z, and the staff is in support.
Very good. Any questions with regard to the presentation? If not, we'll move into item 2, discussion. Any discussion on this? Councilmember Clark, Councilmember Robb, those of you here in the chamber. All right, if not, let's move to item 3, consideration and action. Take a motion, if you would.
Councilmember Ricketts, I move to approve the site plan for 405 Westport Parkway.
Motion is made to approve site plan for 405 Westport Parkway. Is there a second?
I'll second. Mayor Pro Tem Morrow.
Mayor Pro Tem Morrow seconds. Roll call vote. Or let me ask any further discussion before we move to vote. There is none. Okay, roll call vote. Mayor Pro Tem.
Aye.
Councilmember Ricketts.
Aye.
Councilmember Nahara.
Aye.
Councilmember Clark.
Aye.
Councilmember Robb.
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0. Thank you, Council. Item 9K. Discuss, consider, and act regarding approving a site plan for 120 Intermodal Parkway. Mr. Schwanke.
Mayor Halsey, members of the council, this is a site plan that when it was originally done, there was never really a site plan approval that was done through the city, and there was a tract of land on the north side of it, north end of it, that was vacant, and it was under one ownership. So they've come back and said, we want to add on to our building and make the improvements necessary to do that parking lot. In reviewing it, their first site plan that they did that was never approved had inadequate parking. But with this site plan, they've come back and added the parking that was required for the entire building to account for what was done originally that was substandard, and they've now made it in accordance with our ordinance as far as parking. The staff has reviewed this, the engineering staff has reviewed it, and it's been approved by the Planning and Zoning Commission, and we're recommending approval of this site.
Very good. Very good. Any questions with regard to the presentation? If not,
Councilmember Robb.
yes, sir.
do you know when that building was constructed? That's got to be one of the original buildings, right? Long time ago?
It was a long time ago. In fact, when we started doing our investigation, they had to pull the files out of storage to get it. So I don't know how far back it was, but that's when it was. So it wasn't anything we had here recent.
Yeah. Maybe David Rogers can remember, but I certainly don't ever remember looking at a site plan for this property before.
If you didn't hear that,
1992. I didn't think there was anything but cows out here in 1992. How about that? Very good.
I couldn't hear Mr. Rogers. Could you repeat, please?
yeah, I'll repeat it for you. Mr. Rogers says he believes that building was built right around 1992, which would put it at 30 years ago. And of course, all the councils changed since then, I'm sure, and the staff has definitely changed.
But it's in compliance with our ordinance now.
It is in compliance, yes.
Very good. Any other, any discussion, any questions? All right, if not, let's move to item 3, consideration and action, if I could have a motion.
This is Councilmember Ricketts. I move to approve a site plan for 120 Intermodal Parkway.
Motion is made to approve the site plan for 120 Intermodal Parkway. Is there a second?
This is Councilmember Clark. I'll second.
Councilmember Clark, was that you that seconded?
Yes.
Thank you. So it is seconded. Any further discussion? All right, I call for the vote. Roll call vote. Mayor Pro Tem.
Aye.
Councilmember Ricketts.
Aye.
Councilmember Nahira.
Aye.
Councilmember Clark.
Aye.
Councilmember Robb.
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0. Thank you, council. Executive session. There is no need for executive session. The items there that you see listed were more just placeholders. There's nothing for these. Item 11, consider and take any action resulting from executive session. There is none. Item 12, future agenda items. Council, you have any items coming in the future? I'll say that we have some, and we got a new program going, and thanks to our city secretary, Shannon Montgomery, has helped us getting organized in that regard, but we keep a rolling agenda as we know when these projects are coming out, and we'll be sharing that kind of information with you here in the very near future as well. So you'll see the benefit of that. No checking online. Councilmember Robb, Councilmember Clark, no items for the agenda. All right then. Yes.
Well, this is Councilmember Robb, and it's I don't think it may be an agenda item unless it lasts for a long time. But I've tried to find out what the detour plan is for Bonds Ranch and Harmon Road, which closes in 2 days, I believe, or on the 22nd. And I have not been able to find it. I would appreciate it if somebody would reach out to Fort Worth and post it on our city website on how people are supposed to get by that intersection.
Mr. Rogers was waving his arms, volunteering for that task. He will do that. We'll get it up on our website. Thank you, Councilmember Robb.
Thank you.
All right, then. That takes us to item 13, adjourn. Can I have a motion?
Councilmember Ricketts, I'll move to adjourn.
Motion is made to adjourn. Is there a second?
Councilmember Nahed, I second.
Here's a second. Mayor Pro Tem Morrow.
Aye.
Councilmember Ricketts.
Aye.
Councilmember Nahira.
Aye.
Councilmember Clark.
Aye.
Councilmember Robb.
Aye.
We're adjourned. Thank you, council. Have a good night.
This conference is no longer being recorded.
For the record, the city council meeting is adjourned at 8:45 p.m.